It was meant to be an evening of spectacular festivity, a grand tribute to unwavering dedication, but within the opulent confines of Windsor Castle, a tempest of royal proportions was gathering force. The atmosphere crackled with unease, not from external dangers, but from the volatile clash of two intertwined families beneath a single crown. When Camilla's daughter, Laura Lopes, delivered a subtle yet biting critique aimed at the iconic Princess Anne, no one, least of all the Queen Consort herself, could foresee the raw, uncontainable wrath that Prince William was poised to unleash. Buckingham Palace, that bastion of tradition, excels at safeguarding its mysteries. Yet on this occasion, the veil of secrecy was torn asunder. What commenced as a serene public gathering devolved rapidly into the very scandal the Windsors most dread. A fiery familial rift with their own kin at its incendiary core. The spark that ignited this royal inferno? A cutting remark uttered by Laura Lopes, the outsider who provoked the royal embodiment of duty. Laura Lopes has perpetually occupied a unique niche in the royal sphere, an elegant enigma. In contrast to William, Kate, or even her mother, she has evaded the relentless glare of the spotlight. Devoid of titles or ceaseless obligations, she charts her path with fierce autonomy, thriving as an accomplished art curator and nurturing her 3 children away from the royal spotlight. She embodies the outsider irrevocably tethered to the monarchy through her mother's union with King Charles. Her children took prominent roles at the coronation, yet Laura herself remains a self-described spectator to the grandeur. Nevertheless, in royal circles, every utterance carries the weight of sovereignty. And on this fateful night, Laura's words detonated like a grenade. The incident unfolded at a lavish reception within Windsor Castle, a dazzling affair commemorating Princess Anne's astonishing milestone, her 20,000th official engagement. Indeed, 20,000. Anne's relentless commitment has forged her legacy as the monarchy's most industrious figure, a mantle she bears with understated dignity. She serves as the forthright, pragmatic cornerstone of the institution, affiliated with over 300 charities and surpassing all others in event participation. The ambiance was intended to radiate pure homage for her lifetime of unyielding toil, spanning her foundational efforts, with Save the Children to her resolute adherence to royal responsibilities and standing resolutely in solidarity with his aunt was Prince William. William's guardian. Impulse escalates. William's reverence for Princess Anne is profound and ingrained. He doesn't merely esteem her, he perceives her steadfast, candid dedication as the stabilizing force preserving the monarchy amid its gravest trials. To William, Princess Anne epitomizes uncompromised service. He witnessed her bravery in equestrian arenas as a child. He draws inspiration from her unflinching poise as an adult burdened by the crown. That evening, he anticipated nothing but reverence toward her. Instead, he encountered a shocking affront. Laura, whose attendance stemmed solely from her mother's elevated status, circulated among an intimate group of attendees. It was then that she casually unleashed her critique. Eyewitnesses recount her implying that Anne's traditional approach to duty seemed disconnected from contemporary Britain. She purportedly suggested that younger royals, such as William and Kate, infused renewed vitality, implying Anne's methods were relics of a bygone age. The remark was delivered with disarming nonchalance, yet its barb was undeniably piercing. Had it emanated from any other guest, it might have been overlooked. But originating from Camilla's daughter, a non-active royal whose presence hinged on a union that once fractured the family, it transcended rudeness, becoming an affront of monumental scale. The quiet outcry, Anne's fortitude and William's fury. Anne is no seeker of accolades or indulgent spectacles. She disregards fame and trends. To subtly disparage her lifetime of service was to assail her very essence. Guests stood paralyzed, dreading any movement. Others averted their gazes, yearning for the moment to dissipate. But William absorbed every syllable. The Prince of Wales is famed for his composed demeanor. He masters restraint, navigating crises without ripples. Yet beneath this facade simmers an ardent allegiance to his cherished few. Anne has long been a pivotal anchor, The strain intensified as Anne, within audible range, bore witness to the lacerating slight. Princess Anne did not erupt. She upheld her renowned stoic facade. For intimates, however, subtle indicators resonated loudly: a tightened lip, a stiffened posture. She has endured a barrage of critiques, but this internal public jab resonated more profoundly than any media onslaught. For William, the comment was utterly intolerable. He beheld a figure who had endured tempests surpassing Laura's comprehension, a royal who had safeguarded the crown through ordeals beyond his grasp. His protective fervor surged irresistibly. This wasn't mere banter. It was an audacious assault on a revered pillar. William could not idly observe a non-royal figure publicly belittling Anne. He recognized the peril of an overt confrontation. One impulsive act could spawn weeks of ruinous coverage. Yet his ire defied concealment. Gripped fists, a penetrating stare, and his deliberate advance toward Laura conveyed unequivocally, this would not be dismissed. The chamber fell into abrupt silence. Dialogues halted abruptly. Champagne flutes were abandoned as eyes flitted anxiously between the heir apparent and Camilla's daughter. This embodied the palace's worst fear: unfiltered familial discord. Though William refrained from shouting, the oppressive hush amplified his outrage more than any outburst. The private conflict. You adapt. William, ever the realist, Anne endeavored to redirect the evening, recounting her formative Save the Children expeditions. It was her customary tactic to pacify, yet the unease persisted. William clung to her side, his vigilance heightened, resolute that this egregious slight would not be relegated to oblivion. That night, his indignation became a narrative unto itself, exposing the fissures in the royal facade. But this marked merely the inception of William's crusade. The ensuing dawn, the Prince of Wales solicited a confidential discussion with Anne. He had ruminated for hours, his determination to vindicate her honing to a razor's edge. Anne, perpetually composed, remained unsurprised. She anticipated her nephew's refusal to acquiesce. In her private quarters at Gatcombe Park, William's exasperation erupted in terse declarations. He grappled with the audacity. How could Laura, indebted entirely to her mother's alliance, critique one whose exertions eclipsed nearly all familial counterparts? Anne characteristically shrugged indifferently, allowing the words to dissipate. "You acclimate, William," she remarked coolly. "Individuals perpetually presume expertise in this vocation." To her, Laura's quip was another in a succession of dismissals weathered over decades. Yet William remained unyielding. His esteem for Anne ran too profound. He evoked her myriad sacrifices, the arduous global tours, the consecutive, unglamorous commitments that silently fortified the monarchy. For William, acquiescing to Laura's utterance equated to betraying Anne's legacy. Anne advocated prudence, cognizant that retaliation amplified trivial remarks. But William viewed silence as perilous. He dreaded the remarks' dissemination, potentially morphing into a media saga of generational schism within the monarchy. To him, muteness wasn't fortitude. It endangered the crown. The Queen Consort's defensive rage by this juncture, accounts of William's overt displeasure had permeated the palace, reaching Camilla's awareness. The Queen Consort reacted vehemently. Laura has perpetually been off limits for scrutiny. Camilla had strenuously shielded Laura and her son, Tom Parker Bowles, from the debilitating scrutiny that William and Harry endured from infancy. To her, William's reaction appeared an unwarranted escalation, liable to incite needless discord. Suddenly, King Charles found himself in a precarious quandary, balancing familial allegiance with the imperative of palace tranquility. He had labored assiduously to integrate his second family, and now a solitary, imprudent remark jeopardized that delicate equilibrium. For William, this transcended Laura. It involved defending Anne and thereby the crown's dignity. The discourse with Anne concluded inconclusively. Anne implored him to relinquish it. But William's thoughts raced onward, adamant against interring what he deemed an egregious transgression. The intensifying cold, a palace rift. William initiated a subtle campaign of estrangement. He commenced withdrawing, eschewing shared appearances where feasible, and curtailing interactions with Camilla and Laura to formal brevity. Palace observers noted the pronounced chill immediately. For years, William had sustained a courteous yet wary rapport with his stepmother. This episode, however, instilled a fresh, lacerating layer of iciness that even veteran aides acknowledged. Publicly, all appeared impeccable. Internally, however, the palace hummed with latent strain. William seethed, Anne persevered stoically, and Camilla maintained her vigilant defense. Even casual assemblies became fraught, with staff meticulously arranging seating to segregate William and Laura. Charles attempted reconciliation, asserting Laura's lack of malice. But William proved inflexible. For him, motive paled against consequence, and the repercussion on Anne was evident in his gaze. This discord illuminated the fragility of royal bonds, compelling Charles anew into mediation amid a family rife with simmering. The Clarence House confrontation, the defiant clash. The turmoil persisted, unabated. Had Anne managed it solitarily, it might have subsided. But William persisted. The friction soon permeated a prominent charity gala at Clarence House, teeming with Britain's elite. And at its nucleus stood Laura Lopes. As a poised, adept art curator, Laura thrived amidst the milieu, discoursing animatedly on forthcoming exhibits. Yet upon William and Catherine's entrance, the ambiance transformed palpably. The strain was palpable. Laura, ostensibly composed, retained her poise, conversing effortlessly and posing elegantly. Yet beneath her serenity, the undercurrent of drama pulsed. William, conversely, distanced himself, his countenance devoid of customary affability. Catherine, the consummate mediator, sought to alleviate with courteous exchanges with Camilla, though her tact failed to dispel the chill. Eventually, Laura and William intersected. What ought to have been a mundane, courteous interaction evolved into a pointed, indelible testament to the schism. Those proximate attested to William's rigid, frigid salutation. Laura, with understated defiance, retorted that she hoped all could maintain perspective on a prior issue. Her inflection was measured, intentional, signifying unresolved discord. To Laura, the matter was excessively amplified. But for William, her reluctance to acknowledge the evident affront merely validated his perception. She lacked requisite deference. Camilla, detecting the escalating tension, intervened swiftly, escorting Laura with a protective grasp and a smile masking her indignation. To Camilla, it felt unjust. Her daughter, who eschewed royal involvement, was adjudged by unchosen criteria. Charles's familial summit, the unresolved schism, the predicament escalated. Rumors of William's overt disapproval, Laura's retort, and Camilla's staunch advocacy circulated palace corridors, precisely the peril William had foreseen. Perceiving the widening fracture, King Charles convened an intimate familial assembly at Buckingham Palace, aiming to quell the blaze before escalation. Assembled in a modest, unassuming salon were William, Anne, Camilla, Laura, and Catherine, the latter as a requisite stabilizing force. Charles commenced judiciously, emphasizing unity as the family's paramount defense and the necessity of addressing this discord forthwith. He deliberated on the monarchy's tenuous stance in modern Britain, cautioning that even covert slights could erode public trust. William articulated initially, his tone resolute and unshakable. He affirmed Laura's remark as crossing an unequivocal boundary, extolling his aunt's altruistic, enduring labors and articulating his profound respect. The assembly sensed the gravity of his declarations. Laura, however, defended her stance, confronting his fervor with subdued resistance. She maintained no offense was intended, portraying her utterance as innocuous and overstated. Anne interjected, striving for balance. She conceded the remark's sting, yet exhorted de-escalation. Her delivery exemplified the resilience William venerated, Camilla concluded. her voice edged with protective exasperation. She recalled her children's deliberate avoidance of public duties to evade such scrutiny. She contended that implicating Laura in trivial palace intrigues was egregiously inequitable, yet William stood firm. He insisted that familial utterances bore significance, irrespective of titles. The assembly adjourned without accord. Charles urged reconciliation, but compulsion proved futile. Anne departed serenely, resuming her endeavors with indomitable resolve. William exited dissatisfied, deeming his contention unheeded. Laura and Camilla departed defensive and protective, persuaded of Laura's unjust targeting, the precarious armistice allegiance. Ego and the monarchy's fissures weeks elapsed, and the dispute settled into a tenuous ceasefire. The exterior gleamed flawlessly. Cameras captured smiles, orations flowed with rehearsed eloquence. Beneath, however, the strain endured, an intangible divide at every familial encounter. William remained unable to dispel the sense of Anne's profound disrespect. He regarded her as the quintessence of obligation, the one laboring sans acclaim. To him, denigrating her endeavors insulted the institution entirety. Anne endeavored to proceed, immersing in her vocation and tranquil interludes with her steeds at Gatcombe Park. She preserved her composure, yet confidants discerned subtleties, a resolute jaw, a faint fatigue betraying a silent burden. Laura, meanwhile, adhered to her account, deeming herself misconstrued and inequitably appraised. For an individual whose vocation centered on artistry, not familial machinations, this constituted an unwelcome, mortifying specter. Camilla intensified her guardianship, incessantly reminding Charles that neither Laura nor Tom solicited palace entanglements. Charles, ensnared centrally, persisted as the cautious arbiter, striving to avert familial disintegration over a fleeting remark. Ultimately, no climactic denouement emerged, no overt contrition, merely a gradual, arduous acceptance of unresolved estrangement. William upheld ardent fidelity to Anne, Laura distanced from familial politics. Camilla remained vigilant. Charles endured as the beleaguered conciliator. And Anne persevered, steadfast, composed, and unyielding, the epitome of a princess royal. What commenced as a transient, heedless comment burgeoned into something expansive, not owing to the words per se, but their symbolic potency, the collision of loyalty, the contest of pride, and the profound, brittle fractures sustaining the nascent amalgamated royal lineage beneath global scrutiny. The lenses captured naught of the discord, yet palace insiders recognized that one evening's casual utterance imprinted a scar unlikely to vanish swiftly. So, what are your thoughts? Was Prince William justified in staunchly upholding and safeguarding his aunt's dignity, or ought he have permitted it to dissipate, as the resolute Princess Anne counseled? Share your royal adjudication in the discourse. Do you believe Camilla should have compelled Laura to tender an apology? Remember to engage with that like feature, disseminate this explosive revelation among acquaintances, and subscribe for additional astonishing palace insights. Peruse the subsequent video displayed. You'll regret overlooking it.